Ah, the human race. We just love paying top dollar to look death right in the face. A tropical paradise? Nah. Try a radioactive graveyard or a casual stroll through an oven. Oops. One slip on these planks and you're a human pancake. Deep sea nitrogen trips? Biking off a cliff? You bet. Welcome to Planet Wonders. Smash subscribe before this one-way trip begins. First stop on our Doom Tour, Death Valley, California, USA. The name itself is a giant, waving red flag. But do thrill-seeking tourists care? Absolutely not. They see a vast, empty asphalt road and think it's the perfect spot for an Instagram reel. Welcome to nature's very own convection oven. Posing next to the national park sign, like you've just conquered the wild frontier. Enjoy your smile while your sweat glands are screaming. Driving through these scenic canyons might seem chill, but this entire valley is a massive heat trap. The surrounding mountains lock the hot air inside. It continuously compresses down to the valley floor. We are talking about record-breaking temperatures here. A blistering 56.7 degrees Celsius. That's 134 degrees Fahrenheit for my American friends. You could literally bake a pizza on your dashboard. The landscape looks absolutely stunning at sunset, I'll admit. Those pink and purple hues are totally mesmerizing. But don't let this majestic beauty fool your brain. The biological threat to your body is incredibly fast. Without a constant, heavy supply of drinking water, a human can only survive for 14 hours. Your body loses moisture through sweat and breathing, faster than your circulatory system can ever handle. Severe dehydration and heat stroke will hit you hard. You'll be delirious before you even realize you're dying. Oh, look at this adventurous dirt road. Bumping along, feeling like a real-life Indiana Jones. But here is the ultimate mind-blowing plot twist. The extreme heat isn't even the biggest killer here. Wait, what? Yup, you heard my sarcastic voice right. Most deaths don't come from turning into a human raisin. They come from single-vehicle rollovers. People get hypnotized by these long, empty roads. Walking through these narrow, winding canyons, that's another hidden deadly trap waiting for you. A short thunderstorm in the nearby mountains can trigger massive, devastating flash floods. Now we're at the famous Mesquite Flat sand dunes. Looks just like the Sahara Desert, right? Perfect for a dramatic, flowing dress photo shoot. Just remember, walking on loose sand takes twice the effort. And out here, there is absolutely zero cell phone service. Over 14,000 square kilometers of dead zones. So if you twist an ankle or pass out, you can't just call an Uber or dial 911. Unless you packed a specialized satellite phone, you are entirely on your own out there. Just you, the shifting sand, and the scorching sun. And maybe some scorpions, waiting patiently for nightfall. It's a beautiful place to take your last breath. Ah, the vibrant artist palette. These colorful rocks are rich in oxidized metals. It looks like a giant toddler spilled his paint box. People love hiking up and down these mounds, probably ignoring the strict warnings to drink 3.8 liters of water. Beautiful, surreal, and absolutely roasting hot. Oh, and let's not forget the biological horrors. Thinking of exploring abandoned mines around the park? You might inhale some fine, innocent-looking dust. Dust that contains dried rodent feces, which carries the deadly hantavirus. A severe respiratory syndrome with a very high mortality rate, so heat, floods, car crashes, and rat poop virus. Welcome to the Racetrack Playa, where rocks mysteriously move across the dry lake bed, leaving long trails behind them, like giant lazy snails. Spooky, fascinating, and completely isolated. And here is an animal skull, baking in the sun, a very subtle reminder of what happens if your car breaks down. You become part of the local scenery, a vast wasteland that swallows sound and hope. From up here at Dante's View, you can see the vastness of this deadly basin. It's an immense, unforgiving, and silent landscape. Look at these dark, jagged volcanic rocks, standing out sharply against the white salt flats. It's literally like stepping onto another planet, a hostile planet that actively wants to eliminate you. No rescue team is getting out here quickly. And here we have the Devil's Golf Course. Jagged, razor-sharp salt formations as far as the eye can see. Fall here, and you'll be sliced to ribbons. Then the salt will rub right into your wounds. Nature's cruelest joke. Look at this tourist picking at the crust. Ooh, is it real salt? Let me touch it. Welcome to Badwater Basin, the lowest point in North America. People actually walk out onto this vast salt crust. It's just salty dirt mixed with decades of tourist sweat. But hey, at least they have some pretty yellow wildflowers. Nature's little apology for trying to roast you alive. A beautiful, deadly deception. Don't let the pretty petals fool your common sense. Moving on to destination number 2, the Danakil Desert in East Africa, also known as the cruelest place on Earth. Look at these brave souls driving into the abyss. It looks like a post-apocalyptic movie set, doesn't it? This whole area is a geological nightmare. The African tectonic plates are literally ripping apart here, bringing boiling magma dangerously close to the surface, cruising across these endless white salt flats. Might seem like a fun little off-road adventure, until you realize you are 125 meters below sea level, and the average daytime temperature easily tops 50 degrees Celsius. Oh wow, look at these beautiful green pools. Looks like a great spot for a quick, refreshing dip, right? Wrong! Unless you want your flesh to melt off! Welcome to the Dalal hydrothermal field. These neon-colored puddles are basically pure sulfuric acid, mixed with toxic levels of copper and iron. One splash, and you get severe chemical burns. And the smell? Imagine a million rotten eggs. That's the toxic sulfur dioxide gas, trying to choke you. It's an alien landscape that screams, "Stay away," but tourists just can't resist getting a closer look. Now, if the boiling acid doesn't get you, let me introduce you to the local politics. This desert sits right on the disputed border of Ethiopia and Eritrea. Back in 2012, a group of tourists was attacked here by rebels. 5 were killed and 4 were kidnapped. So now, solo travel is completely banned. You literally have to hire armed guards with AK-47s just to babysit you, while you look at some hot mud. Speaking of hot mud, here is the Atoll volcano, one of the few continuous lava lakes in the world. Because it's too scorching hot during the day, tours make you hike up here in the pitch black of night, stumbling over razor-sharp volcanic rocks for 3 hours. And when you finally reach the rim, you get to inhale invisible, deadly CO2 gas. If the wind shifts suddenly, you might pass out and fall in. Look at them standing right on the edge of the crater, just one crumbling rock away from a fiery doom. But hey, anything for that perfect sunset silhouette, right? Haha, I'm sure the likes on social media are totally worth it. By the way, are you enjoying this catalog of nightmares? Hit that subscribe button and leave a comment below. Would you rather swim in acid or fall into lava? Let's have a fun little poll in the comment section, because our next stop is going to test your fear of heights. Number 3 arrives already bolted to a cliff. Mount Huashan Plank Walk. Lovely name, terrible knees. And yes, that path is real. Look at those peaks, like stone shark fins. The mountain is flexing before we even start. Beautiful? Absolutely. Sensible? Let's not lie to ourselves. This is Shaanxi, China, where hiking becomes a meeting with gravity. And gravity, is very punctual. Now the tourist gate appears, looking innocent. That's how it gets you. Wide paths first, soft lighting, friendly mountains. Those carved boulders feel ancient and smug. Here come the stairs and chains. A normal hike has handrails. This one has metal anxiety noodles. Haha, the sacred vibe is strong, but so is the paperwork from your legs. Red ribbons everywhere, prayers everywhere. Even the mountain knows people need backup. Huashan is over 2,000 meters high. That's not a viewpoint, that's a vertical opinion. And the famous plank section waits higher up. Not wide, not friendly, not forgiving. The view keeps getting more cinematic, which is nature's favorite scam technique. Oh wait, the temple doorway. Tiny entrance, giant life decisions. You don't walk in casually. You negotiate with your ancestors first. And here come the harness clips. Drop your vote below. Brave pilgrimage or wooden lawsuit with mountain views? Because these carabiners are doing overtime. Now the camera gets personal. Feet, chains, cliff, bad ideas. This descent is where scenery becomes a test. You place your feet into shallow notches. Your hands cling like rent is due. Below that, the valley just waits, silent, unhuge, extremely uninterested in mistakes. Notice the cliffside crawl now. This is the warm-up, somehow. Chains run along the stone. Your clip becomes your tiny religion. Haha, and the drop keeps photobombing every step. No cozy railing, no casual strolling, just anchors, rock, and borrowed confidence. Now watch the route bend outward. This is where it gets rude. There, the planks finally appear. About 30 centimeters wide, 13 inches of emotional damage. Two-way traffic on one skinny ledge. Everyone becomes a logistics problem. At anchor points, people may reclip. One lock off, next lock on. That tiny gap is the spicy math. Haha, look at that board. Wood, air, and peer pressure. It sounds safer until you look down. And people still pause for photos, because fear needs a profile picture. The safety gear helps, obviously, but gear also changes human behavior. When protected, humans get theatrical. Leaning shots, 1-foot poses, casual chaos. That's risk compensation wearing hiking shoes. From far away, it looks peaceful. Up close, it is a psychological audit. Every step asks, "Are you sure?" Every gust answers, "Probably not." And that is why Huashan fits this list. It is not just high, it makes confidence look cheap. Temples crown the peaks like trophies, but the price is paid on the approach. Those tiny people on the rock face, they are walking through a design flaw that somehow became a bucket list item. And yes, the scenery is ridiculous. Clouds, cliffs, ancient paths, cinematic drama. This place knows exactly how to tempt you. That is the dangerous tourist formula. Make the threat gorgeous enough to sell tickets. So Huashan is spectacular. It is also a reminder with altitude. Adventure is fun until the sidewalk disappears. And here, it disappears politely, one plank at a time. Next up, the danger goes underwater. Destination number 4, the Blue Hole. Located on the coast of Dahab, Egypt. Look at this giant dark pupil in the ocean, staring right back into your soul. The surrounding landscape is just a dusty desert, a few camels chilling by the Red Sea coast. It gives off a very relaxed, laid-back vibe, perfect for a sunny family vacation, right? Just driving along the scenic coastal dirt road. Tourists are splashing in the crystal-clear shallows, couples taking romantic strolls on the beach, sipping drinks at the local wooden cafes. But don't let this cheerful atmosphere deceive you, because there is a very dark reason why this place is called the Divers' Cemetery. Look at these memorial plaques bolted to the rocks. Dozens of them, honoring those who never surfaced. Estimates say up to 200 divers have perished here. Yet, every single day, thrill seekers arrive, strapping on their heavy, expensive scuba gear, marching right into the very same deadly sinkhole. What makes this 120-meter deep hole so fatal? It's a lethal mix of human ego and the unforgiving laws of underwater physics. The local police even stand guard at the shore, checking technical diving certificates before you enter, wading into the water like a squad of Navy SEALs, giving the final OK signal before descending. Recreational diving has a strict, safe limit. You are not supposed to go below 40 meters. Look at this line of free divers hanging on the rope, pushing their lungs to the absolute breaking point. Technical divers carry multiple tanks of mixed gases, constantly monitoring their high-tech dive computers. The shallow parts are incredibly beautiful. Vibrant corals and massive schools of fish. It completely lulls you into a false sense of security. Oh look, a pretty fish. I'm totally safe here. But the ultimate prize lies much deeper, a geological formation known as the Arch. It's a 26-meter-long underwater tunnel, connecting the sinkhole directly to the open ocean. To find it, divers must descend past 55 meters, way past the recreational safety limits. And this is where the silent killer strikes. Down here, the extreme water pressure forces nitrogen to dissolve into your nervous system. It's a condition called nitrogen narcosis, also known as the martini effect. The gas in your tank literally intoxicates you, making you feel completely drunk and euphoric. Your spatial awareness and judgment completely vanish. Look at these dark, haunting silhouettes. Intoxicated divers often get hopelessly confused. Instead of swimming up towards the light, they unconsciously swim deeper into the abyss, missing the entrance to the arch entirely. And and plummeting towards the sandy bottom at 120 meters. This is exactly what happened to Yuri Lipsky in the year 2000. His own helmet camera recorded the entire tragedy, a fatal, confused descent into the darkness. He hit the bottom, panicked from the narcosis, and ran out of air before he could decompress. Exploring these deep, dark cave walls is mesmerizing, but the margin for error is absolutely zero. If your equipment fails down here, you are done. Look at the heavy technical gear they are carrying. Multiple regulators, backup tanks, specialized gas mixes. You can't just shoot straight up to the surface. Your blood would literally boil with nitrogen bubbles. You have to ascend agonizingly slowly, making mandatory decompression stops along the way. Hanging in the blue void, watching your air supply drop. The sheer scale of this underwater cliff is terrifying. It drops off into a 3,000-meter deep ocean trench. Just a vast, empty, crushing darkness. Looking up from the depths, the surface seems miles away, a beautiful, glowing ceiling of light. Thousands of fish silhouetted against the sun. It's a view that many divers saw as their last. A hauntingly beautiful way to leave this world. The ocean doesn't care about your ego. Even professional safety divers have perished here, trying to rescue others who pushed their limits. The coral reefs here are truly world-class, a vibrant explosion of colors and life. It's easy to see why people are drawn to this place. It's an underwater paradise with a deadly secret. Just cruising along the reef wall, a heavy technical diver capturing the beauty, hoping his equipment doesn't randomly fail, trying not to think about the abyss right below you. Oh hey, a majestic sea turtle just casually swimming by, with a little remora fish hitching a free ride, completely oblivious to the human hubris happening nearby. Nature just carries on, perfectly adapted, while we fragile humans have to rely on metal tanks. Look at those bubbles rising from the unseen depths, a chilling reminder of the divers still down there. Back at the surface, snorkelers are just floating around, blissfully unaware of the graveyard right beneath their fins, popping their heads up like nothing happened. The camels are still here, completely unbothered. So, fancy a deep dive into the unknown? Make sure your life insurance covers underwater recovery. Welcome to destination number 5, folks, the North Yungas Road in Bolivia, winding through this lush, beautiful Amazon jungle. Here is the welcoming committee, a literal wooden sign that says, Death Road. How charming, and completely not terrifying. And what do tourists do when they see this? They hop on mountain bikes, of course. Be safe, the guide says. Yeah, right. Let's talk about the specs of this death trap. It was built in the 1930s by prisoners of war. It's about 36 kilometers of pure anxiety. The road is basically just dirt and loose gravel, averaging a measly 3 meters in width. Look at this gorgeous waterfall cascading down, right onto the muddy, slippery path, making the tire traction absolutely non-existent. And guess what's waiting on the right side? A sheer vertical drop of up to 1,000 meters, with absolutely zero guardrails to stop you, riding a bike through a freezing waterfall, while balancing on the edge of oblivion. Just another casual Tuesday for extreme sports junkies. Before the new highway was built in 2006, this was a major route for heavy vehicles, claiming hundreds of lives every single year. Now it's mostly a playground for crazy cyclists. At least 20 riders have died here since 1998, usually from losing their brakes on the wet rocks. Look at the sheer scale of that drop down there. One wrong squeeze of the brake lever, and you're taking a very fast shortcut to the bottom, rattling over these loose, jagged stones. Your forearms must be screaming from the vibration. Oh boy, look at this massive bus, squeezing past the cyclists on this tiny ledge. This brings up a very unique traffic rule here. Vehicles going downhill must drive on the left side. It sounds completely backwards, doesn't it? But it lets the driver look out their left window, see exactly how close their tires are to the abyss. While uphill traffic gets the safe side hugging the mountain, safe being a very relative term here, obviously, because the mountainside can randomly drop boulders on you. So you either fall off a cliff or get crushed. Pick your poison, folks. Just a normal day of dodging death in Bolivia. The jungle is slowly trying to reclaim the road, thick vegetation swallowing the edges, making the path seem even narrower than it is. It's beautiful from a drone's perspective. but down on the ground, it's a constant battle for grip. Riding through the thick mist and fog, visibility drops, hiding the deadly curves ahead. Look at this incredibly rough section. It looks like a recent landslide just wiped out the path, and they are just riding right over the debris. One bounce off a big rock, and you lose your balance. And remember, there are no guardrails, just a straight shot down into the dense canopy. I wouldn't ride this road even for $1 million. Haha, my brakes would melt from me squeezing them so hard. Destination number 6 looks like an absolute paradise. Ilha da Queimada Grande, off the coast of Brazil. Lush green forests and crystal clear blue waters. It looks perfectly untouched by human civilization. The ideal spot for an exclusive private resort, right? Except for one tiny, slithering, deadly little detail. This place is universally known as Snake Island, and it is strictly off limits to the general public. The Brazilian Navy has completely banned all tourists. Why? Because this island is a biological minefield, a literal nightmare for anyone with a phobia of reptiles. Look at this brave crew arriving on a small boat. They are not crazy tourists, they are licensed scientists. Approaching these slippery, treacherous coastal rocks. Here is the official warning sign right at the landing. Landing prohibited. They are absolutely not messing around. The sign basically says, turn back or die. Trekking through this dense, waist-high vegetation is pure, unadulterated nightmare fuel, folks. Because hiding everywhere is the golden lancehead viper, a species trapped here for thousands of years. They evolved to hunt migratory birds in the canopy. Look at it, just casually chilling on that branch. Their venom is 3 to 5 times more potent than their mainland viper relatives. It literally melts your flesh upon contact, causing severe, immediate internal bleeding and necrosis. And here is the most terrifying statistic of all. There are an estimated 1 to 5 snakes per square meter on this godforsaken rock. Look at how close this guy is to that coiled viper. Every single step you take is a game of Russian roulette. Look how perfectly they camouflage into the leaves. You wouldn't even see it until its fangs are in your leg. Even at night, they are out there, just waiting, staring at you with those cold, reptilian eyes. A whole island completely overrun by apex predators. These scientists have to wear thick, protective boots, carefully scanning every single inch of the ground, using a specialized hook to handle this golden killer. One wrong move, one tiny little slip-up, and it's a guaranteed, agonizing medical emergency. Now, any authorized team that visits this island must bring a doctor and a massive supply of anti-venom. Look at this terrifying close-up of its open mouth. Those fangs are literal hypodermic needles of death, designed to inject a flesh-destroying chemical cocktail. Bagging the snake for research looks incredibly stressful. Before the lighthouse here was finally automated, the keepers suffered some truly horrific deaths. Haha, I would be sprinting back to that boat immediately, leaving this venomous hellscape far, far behind. So, who wants to book a hiking trip here? Destination number 7, Whakaari, or White Island, an active stratovolcano in New Zealand. Look at this tourist, snapping photos from the boat, riding the inflatable dinghy right up to the crater. This place used to be a massive tourist hotspot, allowing people to walk directly inside an active volcano. It's literally a ticking geological time bomb. Just look at the smoke billowing from the vents. The earth here is constantly venting its fury, but tourists just couldn't resist the thrill. These are the rusty remains of an old sulfur mine, a group casually listening to their guide in hard hats, wearing absolutely no fireproof suits or proper gas masks. Just pure, unadulterated trust in the tour company. Look at the sheer power of this geothermal explosion. On December 9th, 2019, that trust was shattered. The volcano erupted with absolutely no warning, a massive explosion of superheated steam and toxic gas. 22 people tragically lost their lives that day, and 25 suffered horrific, permanent burn injuries. Look at this beautiful, deadly green acid lake. Imagine this entire crater suddenly turning into a pressure cooker, with acidic ash and corrosive sulfur dioxide everywhere. The craziest part? The alert level was already raised. Look at them walking in a line across the ash. Scientists warned of increased unrest weeks before, but the tour operators just kept bringing people in, past these vibrant, toxic yellow sulfur deposits. And here is the bubbling, boiling gray mud. It's like the earth is literally cooking itself. Just recently, in February 2025, a judge finally overturned the conviction of the landowners. ruling that merely owning the land doesn't make you responsible. More rusty mining relics abandoned in the toxic fumes. So now the whole industry has shifted its model. They don't try to play the protective parent anymore. They just make you sign an ironclad death waiver. You know you might burn to death, right? Sign here. Look at these towering sulfur chimneys venting gas. It's an utterly hostile alien environment, and you are entirely at the mercy of nature. Oh, look right there! A helicopter landing right on the ash. A stark reminder of how quickly you might need evacuation. Watching these tourists walk through this wasteland, you really have to wonder about human psychology. Haha, why do we pay top dollar? To walk into an active oven. The crater opens right up to the sea here, as the boat pulls away from this beautiful deadly island, leaving the smoking ruins behind. I guess some people just really love the heat. Destination number 8, Mount Washington, located in New Hampshire, USA. It holds a very terrifying official title, home of the world's worst weather. Look at these happy tourists taking summit photos. The autumn foliage down in the valley is gorgeous. But look at these sheer, unforgiving rock faces. This mountain is a master of deception. It's only 1,917 meters high. Not exactly Mount Everest, right? But it sits at the crosshairs of 3 storm tracks, creating absolutely brutal, unpredictable conditions. Ah, the famous Mount Washington Cog Railway, chugging its way up the steep incline. This train is actually part of the problem. It creates what experts call the illusion of proximity, making tourists think this is just a casual park walk. Over 250,000 people visit every year, rolling through the beautiful, colorful trees. It's a lovely ride until the weather flips. Look at that vintage steam engine working hard, pumping black smoke into the pristine mountain air. As it climbs higher, the trees disappear, replaced by a barren, rocky wasteland. Haha, hit subscribe if you prefer staying indoors with a blanket. Because this looks like a train ride straight to Mordor. And just like that, the visibility drops to 0. Welcome to the danger zone. One minute it's a clear, sunny afternoon. The next minute, you are fighting for your life. Look at the train now, completely surrounded by snow. These hikers are properly equipped with ice axes, trudging up the frozen, slippery rocks. This mountain holds a terrifying world record. The highest wind speed ever directly recorded by humans, a mind-blowing 372 kilometers per hour. That is 1.5 times the force of a Category 5 hurricane. Look at these wooden stairs completely encased in rime ice. It looks like a scene from a frozen apocalypse. Since 1849, this small mountain has claimed 161 lives, and the injury rates are skyrocketing every year. The trains are literally frozen to the tracks. Tourists huddling together to survive the biting wind. This is what 100-mile-per-hour winds look like. The summit sign is barely visible through the blizzard. The weather here can change in a matter of minutes, leaving unprepared hikers completely stranded. Look at these people struggling in the whiteout. In October 2025, rescuers had to save 20 hikers who were stuck right here with severe hypothermia. The buildings are coated in thick, heavy ice. The clouds rolling over the peak like a frozen tsunami. Oh great, now people are skiing down it, because walking wasn't dangerous enough, apparently. Back down at the bottom, it's a peaceful green forest. A lovely hike through massive, mossy boulders. The sun is shining, the birds are singing. Pretty little wildflowers blooming on the trail. And here is the fatal mistake people make. Look at them hiking in shorts and t-shirts. This is how summer hypothermia kills you. They start the hike sweating in the warm valley, flying a drone over the stunning autumn canopy. But as they reach the exposed rocky summit, the temperature suddenly plummets below freezing. Here's the summit sign, 6,288 feet. Look at this crowd. Some are in heavy jackets, and some are literally wearing shorts. When those dark clouds roll in unexpectedly, those bare legs are going to freeze solid. The cog railway heads back down at sunset, leaving the deadly peak to its brutal winds, but our next destination will truly freeze your blood. Destination number 9 is a real blast, literally. Welcome to Bikini Atoll. Look at that terrifying mushroom cloud. That is the infamous Castle Bravo test, leaving behind these massive unnatural craters, and the scorched bones of the local wildlife, along with a fleet of irradiated ghost ships. But look at it now from an airplane window. It looks like the ultimate tropical paradise. Crystal clear turquoise waters, pristine white sand beaches, not a single soul in sight. You'd think this is the perfect holiday spot. But this breathtaking beauty is a complete lie, because this entire atoll is a nuclear graveyard. The US military dropped 67 nukes here, turning heaven into a radioactive wasteland. It's a giant, invisible death trap, just waiting for oblivious tourists to arrive. Flying over these endless, empty reefs. Ah, the welcoming sign. Welcome to the beautiful islands of Bikini Atoll. They forgot to add, bring your own Geiger counter. Thrill seekers still fly in on these tiny planes, landing on this overgrown, forgotten airstrip. Because nothing says fun vacation like visiting a nuclear ground zero. Look at these deserted, decaying houses. Nobody is allowed to live here permanently. The soil is deeply contaminated with cesium-137. That means you cannot eat anything grown here. Eating a local coconut or breadfruit is basically begging for a cancer diagnosis. So why do people even come here? Haha, for the extreme scuba diving, of course. Plunging into the irradiated Pacific Ocean to explore the sunken fleet of Operation Crossroads. The coral reefs here look surprisingly healthy, thriving in the absence of human fishing, but they are hiding a massive dark secret. Look at these massive sunken warships, resting silently at the bottom of the sea. Divers swimming through the rusty, ghostly corridors. It is a haunting underwater military museum, just hovering over these massive naval guns. Nature has slowly started to reclaim the steel, covering the wreckage in vibrant corals. But don't let the pretty fish fool you. The gamma radiation background level here is a staggering 184 millirems per year. That completely shatters the safe limit of 100. You are literally swimming in a toxic soup. I hope these divers have good health insurance. Because every minute down here is a massive risk. Exploring the dark, claustrophobic rooms of a sunken carrier. It's incredibly eerie and totally fascinating, but definitely not for the faint of heart. Swimming past old torpedo tubes and bomb casings, a chilling reminder of the destructive power unleashed here. The scale of these wrecks is just mind-blowing. Whole fleets sent to the bottom in a split second. Just a couple of divers exploring the apocalypse. Look at the schools of fish inhabiting the ruins. They don't care about the radiation levels. They just want a nice place to call home. But for us humans, this place is strictly temporary. You can look, but you definitely shouldn't stay. Swimming through these twisted metal structures, it feels like a scene from a sci-fi horror movie. Back on the surface, the rules are incredibly strict. You absolutely cannot drink the local water. Everything you consume must be imported on that boat. The palm trees look perfectly normal from here, but wait until you see what they are hiding. What on earth is this giant concrete UFO? That is the infamous Runit Dome, folks. A massive cracking tomb filled with radioactive waste, just sitting right next to the rising ocean, hoping a strong typhoon doesn't bust it wide open. Because that would be a global ecological disaster. Just an incredible monument to human short-sightedness. Flying back over the pristine, untouched beaches. It's truly a tragedy what happened to this place. As the sun sets on this toxic paradise, you realize how perfectly nature hides our mistakes. Would you risk the radiation for this view? Keep watching to see our next deadly destination. And finally, destination number 10, the Valley of Death in Kamchatka, Russia, also known as the Animal Graveyard. Look at this vast, barren, sweeping landscape, nestled right at the base of a massive volcano, the clouds rolling heavily over these dark ridges. It looks incredibly peaceful from way up here. Just a pristine, untouched wilderness. A massive snow-capped peak towering over a green valley. But don't let this majestic scenery fool you, because down on the ground you will find this. A massive animal skeleton rotting in the dirt, right next to the bubbling, steaming vents. This dark volcanic rock field is a biological trap, a completely natural, silent execution chamber. Look at the thick steam billowing from the mountainside. This narrow valley is completely shielded from the wind, acting like a giant, invisible toxic bowl. Heavy volcanic gases constantly seep from the earth. Look at these tourists walking right through the smoke. Carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and hydrogen sulfide. They sink and pool right at ground level, creating an invisible blanket of pure death. If you drop your phone down there, do not pick it up. This colorful, steep gorge looks like a painting, but it's actually the site of a brutal food chain. Small animals come down to the river to drink, or they are lured in by the scent of fresh carcasses. When they lower their heads into that invisible CO2 layer, they suffocate and pass out in mere minutes. Then, the larger predators like foxes and grizzly bears arrive, thinking they just found a free, easy buffet, only to breathe in the exact same toxic gas, dying right on top of their intended meal. It is a relentless, self-replenishing graveyard. Even in winter, this place is incredibly treacherous. Look at these beautiful, lush green slopes, nature's cruelest bait for hungry wildlife. A winding river cutting through the deceptive paradise. Look at the steam rising right out of the green hillside. The earth is literally exhaling poison. One wrong step by a researcher or a wandering tourist, and you fall straight into an invisible gas chamber. Just the steaming vents along the rocky riverbed. The snow patches melting into the toxic streams. It's a place where life simply cannot exist. The fast-flowing river cuts through the misty valley. Not a single bird chirping in the sky. Just a vast, marshy delta spreading out like green veins. But wait a minute. If these 10 places are just the warm-up, what kind of unspeakable horrors are hiding in the dark zones? You haven't even seen the classified files yet.